J.
Good morning, people, and welcome to the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Jay Real, bringing you a Friday edition of the show, and we are going to make this show very painless and hurt-free for all of you out there in YouTube land, just because we have a special show coming up tomorrow on Saturday, and we actually have so much research and work to do for that we just want to throw out some quick sports topics and news and get out of your hair for the day and let you enjoy your weekend. So first and foremost, we want to start off with the NFL. Incognito has reached a deal with Miami to recomp or comp some of his pay. That's right. Under the guidelines and the NFL agreement, players agreement that is, you can only be suspended for 4 games max. With that said, Incognito's 4th game was this last week. So Miami wants to suspend him or keep him suspended for 2 more games. That allows the investigation and all the process to be done and over with. And Incognito has filed a grievance. Now, he agreed to drop the grievance in order to recomp some of this money. So the way it's going to work out is suspended for 4 games. The next 2 games he will get paid for, and 2 games that he missed along with the 4-game suspension will be paid. So he's recouping some of his money. That was his main gripe. That was his main focus, because come on folks, the man was losing almost $300,000 a game. That's a big paycheck to just let walk out the door and not fight for it. So we still have no issue with Incognito as far as anything that's been going on. He is focused on clearing his name. He's focused on showing that he was not this big bully, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's kind of interesting to find out that Miami is giving up some money to keep this guy off the field. Moving on. If any of you didn't watch Thursday night's football games, I mean, they were some really good games. Of course, your Ravens or their Ravens beat up on my Steelers, so we're pretty much out of the playoff picture. There's like a snowball's chance that we could still get in there, but I'm fine with not making the playoffs. When we were 4-0, or excuse me, 0-4, I was okay with just letting this season slide and getting a better draft pick next year. But they won some games, started getting a little show of life in them, but then the Ravens slammed the door in our face, and that's fine. We can live with that. Detroit put it on Green Bay. Green Bay without Rodgers is like a completely different team. For whatever reason, you would still think they would be competitive, but there's no way that they're competitive without Rodgers, and that's an interesting thing to think about, because Aaron Rodgers should be back in the lineup this week. Only time will tell if his injury will allow him to do so, but we think he will be on the field. Moving on from that, speaking of the other game for Thanksgiving, Dallas did come out with the win, but Dallas team is so inconsistent, it's very difficult for us to see them going anywhere in the playoffs. They look like they will be making the playoffs, but we see them getting knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. Too much inconsistent play, can't get the running game going, and for whatever reason their defense just seems to putter out in the worst times. So those were the 3 games on Thanksgiving. And then, of course, I'm sure you all know about the controversy with Mike Tomlin accidentally walking into the playing field and causing a pretty hilarious, I mean, it shouldn't be funny, but it is, the fact that he gets in the running path of Scobie from the Ravens, who looked like he was about to run it all the way back to the house, and had to make a little trajectory change to avoid Tomlin, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, excuse me, and then got tackled after, I believe, what was it, a 60, 70-yard game, whatever it was. But here's what we got to say about that. Mike Tomlin is a head up, straight up dude. He's not a freaking crooked, shisty, car salesman type of person. If he was in the line of play, it was either because he had been there and wasn't paying totally attention to where the play was coming from, or as you notice at the last minute or last second when he tried to jump out of the way, he looked up at the jumbotron and saw that the play was headed right towards him and he needed to get out of the way. Regardless of his intent, regardless of whatever he was trying to do, I do believe he will be fined. I'm going to say in the neighborhood of around $20,000 would be approximately to a fair fine. But come on, people, suspended. The man didn't go out there and shank somebody or freaking tackle them. He was watching the game too close to the sideline, and he got involved and got in the way of a play. That's where the fine comes in. There wasn't even a flag thrown on the field. Even the announcer announcing the game for the Ravens sideline and the Ravens radio network didn't even mention that Tomlinson was in the way. So let's just let the guy get his fine, pay his fine, and let's move on. Moving on with that, Michael Crabtree is back in the lineup this week for the 49ers, or should be. What does this mean? Their passing game is going to open up. If any of you out there in YouTube land are like me and have invested in this guy's sports cards, memorabilia, anything to do with Michael Crabtree, you're crossing your fingers and you're praying to the heavens that this guy will start producing right away. He needs to. The 49ers have been missing him. He's that deep threat and that kind of Jerry Rice type of player. Finesse, one-handed grabs, can lay out. I mean, guys, speed. But with this injury, who knows what we're going to get with Michael Crabtree, so that's going to be interesting to see. But I'm sure the 49ers will love to have him back in the lineup. Moving on real quick. Talking about that Dallas game on Thursday night, some very unfortunate news. A Dallas fan is found laid out on the sidewalk down the street from the stadium, and reports are out that reportedly four Raiders fans jumped this Dallas fan. He was wearing a Dallas jersey and just beat the guy unconscious. No one has been arrested, and of course no witnesses are anywhere around. All I got to say is, Raider fans, really, you're going to go to Dallas's house, get beat down, and then have a problem with it after, and four Raiders fans jump on one Dallas dude and beat him into the ground. Well, with that said, that's typical Raiders fans. But good news is, the Dallas fan that was beat down is about to get ready to go home. There was no life-threatening or serious injuries. He was just knocked unconscious. So with that said, again, typical Raiders fans. It's just hard to believe that something like that can happen over a freaking game, a football game. Life is just crazy right now. And then, of course, as we mentioned, Aaron Rodgers supposed to be back in the lineup for Green Bay this week. And who knows, there's still a little glimmer of hope for them to make the playoffs. But is Aaron Rodgers going to be enough? Because this team is horrible. Now, with that said, we are going to move on to NBA real quick, and then we'll do a wrap-up so we can get you back for the weekend. Right now, Jason Kidd just got fined $50,000 for spilling, well, actually acting like he spilled his drink onto the court because they were out of timeouts. He needed to draw up a final play to try to win the game. So the cameras that are filming the game caught him asking one of his players to bump into him prior to him knocking his soda out of his hand, and then of course dropping it on the court. And $50,000 is a huge chunk of money for a soda in my book, in my world. So the guy didn't get away with it. They still ended up losing the game. So it was a big mess. Jason Kidd is in a world of hurt right now because he's not doing well as a coach. He's not doing well as a leader. And let's just break it down. Even as a friend to these teammates that he's trying to coach, he's not doing very well with that either. So really feeling bad for Jason Kidd. And then finally, Kobe should be back in the lineup for the Lakers as soon as Christmas time. That's the deadline. Or for fans crossing their fingers that Kobe will be back in the lineup. And he seems like he's doing well. His recovery is coming along, so who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But for right now, we're going to sign now because, again, we got to do a lot of research and we need a lot of time to cover our special show on Saturday, tomorrow. So be sure you tune into that because it's going to be covering Pop Warner football. A special on Pop Warner football. And would you defend it or would you trash it? We'll have to find out. But again, Player Zone, we can't thank them enough. Right on Time Errand and Delivery Service, Freestyle Jewelry, as well as Freestyle Productions, who are running the No Bully campaigns right now. Why be a bully? Be a friend. And Seeping Springs RV Park and Campground, who have teamed up with us to fight that bully problem and issue, especially in Lincoln County, but we hope it spreads all over the world. If you want to get involved, 575-257-0559 is the number. You'll get to the Player Zone. They're the ones that connect with everything else. And if you want to write to us, if you want to tell us your story about a bully, or if you need help or want to talk to someone, again, we're not professionals, but we will have someone write back to you, guaranteed. And that's at P.O. Box 1942, Capitan, New Mexico, 88316. But for right now, J-Ro's going to sign out. We will see you all on tomorrow's special show. Peace and much love. We'll see you soon. J-Radio.